Well, hello everyone. My job is to keep you awake. We just had lunch. I know you all want to take a siesta now, so stay awake, keep your eyes open. Okay, so here's our group. So we have 6 very unique, interesting, fascinating people that are going to be sharing different stories across different areas when looking at business and then also marketing of tourism. And what I loved is we have 6 individual countries represented, which is great. Diverse mix from Asia to and then extensively across greater Europe. So I'll speak first, and then we'll just have each one of them come up. And then we'll hopefully have some time for Q&A at the end. So I'm going to do just a little bit different of what I did earlier this morning, just to show some different angles, different thoughts when looking at storytelling. One thing I wanted just to start off is just, how are we walking the talk? What's the work that we do in the industry? We've been around 15 years. And we filmed in over 45 countries now. And I think more importantly is having industry partners that we work with, thought leadership that we put out into the industry, both internally and with media partners, writers, influencers. So we have a very large network of folks that we work with. Really the sole purpose of pushing sustainability, pushing regenerative, pushing stewardship, these key, I don't want to just say terms, but movements that I think are happening, which makes it really just fascinating. I just think it's such an exciting time coming out of COVID where tourism has really been turned upside down. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us. So, and then I mentioned earlier, we've had the opportunity to be recognized by our peers, by the industry. We were just nominated just a couple weeks ago as Regenerative Storyteller of the Year, and we're very proud of that. And I think most importantly, because it's coming from the industry. And we appreciate that, and again, it just motivates us to move forward and continue doing more. So I'm going to start off with a story, and I wanted to we've got a lot of stories to pull from, and I'm pulling one from Armenia. Simply the fact that there's a lot of challenge and conflict going on in the world every day, even today. And I wanted just to celebrate the amazing people we worked with in Armenia. We were there just over a year ago, spent about 2 weeks crisscrossing the country in a beat-up van, just overloaded with weight, going along the bumpy roads from north to south. And just had an amazing experience. And I think more importantly for us is the people we connected with, the journey that we had. So I wanted to, just celebrate the locals, celebrate hiking, in Armenia, something very specific. But again, really just knowing things that have been going on in Armenia just recently. So I wanted to pull one out that was local, or at least regional in this case. And this was a story that was picked up by National Geographic, got major media coverage. So again, we brought a really great journalist with us, Mark, who we've worked with in Indonesia before. So again, a lot of our strategy going into Armenia, and really just proud to share this story on hiking in Armenia. Hopefully it's just a video labeled number 1.
You can put one foot in front of the other anywhere in the world, but there's something intangible about doing it in Armenia. Everything is accessible, and the variety you get during your adventure here is something that I really haven't experienced elsewhere.
Լինել գայդ Հայաստանում նշանակում է ներկայացնել քո երկիրը առաջնահերթ, ներկայացնել քո պատմությունը, քո հնությունը, որը դու կարողանում ես հպարտանալ.
History and culture, it goes hand in hand with trails in Armenia. It's so intertwined together.
Քո իմ երկրի գեղեցկությունն.
Hiking is an incredible way to see a place. you're very much accepted as part of the family of this country everywhere you go.
You know, sometimes it's hard to get started on a trail because you pass by a family that poke their heads out of their home and to see what you're all about with your backpack. And that leads to an invitation in. And it's the experiences you get while hiking in Armenia that make it special, that make it a destination that people come back to.
I can't help but feel like I am really integrated with Armenia, and it'll be one of the places and one of the experiences that I will never forget and have a deep kinship with.
There's always something that makes each outing unique. I'm just gonna get something different every single time, and I'm gonna get something real. And I love that.
So just the spirit of celebrating destinations, and I think most importantly, the local people. So now I'm just going to show a couple slides. Now look at travelers, because data does play an important role here. You can't just show great stories. You have to show them, back it up with the data. And I think overall here, just travelers are changing. Their habits are changing. If you look through here, 40% on average, they're making habits. They're changing their habits. It's not every traveler. It's data. It's pulled from Expedia. But still, it's something that is really changing very quickly. And these numbers are only going up. Excuse me. I think more importantly, 70% of travelers are confused. They're overwhelmed. We've talked about it in sessions yesterday. That's where destinations can play a role. Operators can play a role. The industry can play a role, helping travelers. It's not easy. I mean, just plan your own trip. Where do you go? Who do you talk to? What website? Is it trustable? Social? There's a lot of confusion opportunities out there. So I think just keeping in mind that most travelers want to do right, but it's hard. So just to look at some of the industries, and all of these industries, again, this is just rough numbers, but data pulled from Expedia again. You can see nature, adventure, culture, community-based tourism. I think most importantly, if you're a destination, what do you do best? What's endemic? What's local to your area? Don't try to do adventure if you don't have adventure. If you're a nature destination, celebrate that nature. Nature's doing extremely well right now, but do it right. So I think just looking at some of the industries, how they're doing right now, and what can you take on for your area, that makes sense. Looking at the storytelling side, this is a whole conversation. I could do 20 slides on storytelling, but I wanted just to pull in a couple just so you see some of the elements, the rough high-level elements. What makes a great story? Well, the purpose, the strategy. That's your roadmap. That's most important for us when we're working with a destination, is really what are we trying to accomplish here? Is this marketing? Is this management? Is this sustainability? Is this, who's the audience? There's so much built in. The most important part, in my opinion. Then the story, this is what I love. The challenges, the struggles. What's that thing we're going to have to overcome? What's that emotional journey we're going to take someone on that doesn't know your destination, because you're the expert in your destination or your product. Then, of course, looking at, if these are going to come up, maybe not, characters. Who's going to tell it? Is it a single person? Is it a group of people? In Armenia, it was one main character that really drove that story. Other people complemented, but he ultimately drove it. And we don't know when we're going into a destination who is going to be that dominant character, because we want to let the stories and the emotion drive it. And that's the difference between scripted content, commercials, and the work that we're doing, more documentary style. We really want the story to drive itself. We say story first. And that's typically the biggest boulder we have to get over in working with the destination, is they feel like, hey, we need to promote and market. And we have a very different approach, and it takes time. Lastly, location. You saw the imagery of Armenia. It's beautiful, different, varied, historical, full of culture. And so again, that was part of the adventure of getting off the main roads. And when looking at content for sustainability, that strategy, kind of like a story. What's the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? So that content strategy is so important when looking at, that's your roadmap again. But try to challenge yourself. Look at those stories and things that are going to help you work toward what you're trying to accomplish. Use it as an experience, that content strategy. This is the baseline of what we first develop in working with the destination. Where are we going to go? What's the content we're going to sprinkle out in the spring, the summer, the fall, this year, next year? So again, it takes time. And then lastly, try as you go through that content to address some of the issues. Dispersal, getting people in off-season travel. There's so many great tactics now that are already happening. But again, just remind yourself on those some of those sensitive issues and see how you can attack them through your own efforts. We talk about collaboration. There's so many folks in the industry that you can work with. There are more. This is just a quick sampling, but it's really the approach that we have. Who can we bring together in this journey, in this experience of content, of communications, of trade development, of distribution? Bring all these people, and sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very difficult. There's a lot of education. So that collaboration, we hear about it so much. And then I'm just going to end on another film we just did in the Azores. This is one of my favorites. This is the island of Pico, and here are the vineyards. They're only, this high, and it's because of the weather, the terrain that's there, and you'll hear it. And I love all these cast of characters. You'll see all the stakeholders that we brought together for this story. And their messaging just really weaves together really nicely.
I think wine is a lot about a sense of place. You cannot replicate this.
I love my island. The peace in the quiet, it's very good. It does well for your health.
People needed to come here and started to live here. And when we come here today, we are stepping in the stones that they stepped in. So gratitude towards that, right?
Apologies for the missed sync with the audio. I don't know. I think that might have been a Google slide to PowerPoint connection. But I think one of the questions that we get all the time, being so focused and committed to sustainability, regenerative stewardship, et cetera, is how can you market a destination? I mean, this was as real as it gets. These are local people. This was not a touristy destination, Saint Georges and Pico overall. And I think ultimately it's that marketing, that very targeted marketing going to the right audience, the right crowd, to get the right traveler to come and experience this. It was, an adventure being with the people, but we don't want to create over-tourism through this. So it's on the back end and making sure that we are really being targeted in how we reach out with this new content. So Anyway, so just some key points before we get to each of the panelists. Storytelling, I think you're seeing it's a good tool if done right. Really, I think I still feel when I watch that film, I've seen it a lot, it just makes me want to go back to the islands. And really creating that change and inspiration for travelers. Sustainability, we've talked about it. Being authentic, I think really this was not scripted content. These are real conversations that we had with people and then pulling it all together to really weave a nice narrative. And ultimately, getting a lot of folks involved. And then lastly, I think we've all heard in all the different sessions, sustainability is a journey. And you'll see that today, the importance of education and getting everyone on the same page. A lot of real challenges going on. If you want information on our signing up for our newsletter, stay connected. But thank you very much.